Unexpectedly, Xiao Zhan grasped the arm of the respected master. The young man boldly pulled Meng Yi to sit on his lap, with a wicked expression on his face as he looked at the beautiful, respected Master Heavenly Fragrance, smiling teasingly and saying, "A good cat is one that can catch mice, whether it's a white cat or a black cat. For me, the process is not important. The result is what matters." At this moment, Meng Yi's cheeks flushed red. She struggled on Xiao Zhan's lap while scolding villainous disciple Chu, "Don't you dare lay a hand on me." Suddenly, Meng Yi looked towards the doorway and quickly exclaimed, "Someone is coming." Outside Xiao Zhan's room, the visitor was Bai Yao. She was carrying a wine bottle and a cup in her hands. She lightly knocked on the door and softly called out, "Holy Son, I'm here." Inside the room, Meng Yi immediately frowned. She stared intensely at villainous disciple Chu and, with a voice full of jealousy, asked, "In the middle of the night, are you still looking for a female cultivator to meet with?" At that moment, Meng Yi was extremely angry, silently cursing, "Villainous disciple, Chu really doesn't take me seriously, not considering me at all." Xiao Zhan wrapped his arms around Meng Yi's waist, looking at her with a smile as he responded, "Go away for a bit, and I'll keep you company later." Meng Yi was furious, but still followed Xiao Zhan's words. Her figure shifted slightly and immediately vanished into thin air. At that moment, the door of the room was opened. Bai Yao, dressed in a fitted light blue dress, approached Xiao Zhan with a wine jug and a delicate cup in her hands. Her alluring voice rang out, "Holy Son, I bring you some Meiguai wine. I wonder if you would be interested in trying a little." Demonic Chu stood up, smiling happily as he replied, "Of course, just put it on the table for now." Meng Yi, hidden in the void, felt uncomfortable seeing Bai Yao. She thought to herself, "Bai Yao from Yuchang Place directly brings a love potion to charm my villainous disciple. Just right. I'll see if this villainous disciple is steadfast." While Meng Yi was lost in thought, Demonic Chu directly embraced Bai Yao. The young man gently lifted Bai Yao's chin, his fingers brushing over her luscious lips, the two of them face to face. Demonic Chu whispered, "Bai Yao," in a hushed tone. She replied, "Holy Son, let me help you." Meng Yi saw this scene and her jealousy flared up. She clenched her fists, silently cursing, "Villainous disciple, what's wrong? Do you really want to make me invisible?" Suddenly, Meng Yi noticed something strange. Bai Yao's eyes changed in a peculiar way. Meng Yi thought to herself, "What kind of dark magic is this? Why does Bai Yao's gaze look just like the villainous disciples?" At that moment, Xiao Zhan used mind control to invade Bai Yao's body. Previously, he had successfully manipulated and controlled her will. Demonic Chu then took out a black jade vial and presented it to Bai Yao. He lightly patted her on the shoulder and coldly said, "Take this back. Find an opportunity for Zhao Long to smell the fragrance inside. Do not let it be discovered. After an hour, come back and tell Zhao Yunfi that you have succeeded." Bai Yao obediently replied, "Understood." Just like that, Bai Yao took the jade bottle from Xiao Zhan and turned to leave, quickly disappearing into the night. Meng Yi immediately spoke up and asked Xiao Zhan, "What did he do to her?" Xiao Zhan crossed his arms over his chest and replied calmly, "Just a soul control technique." Meng Yi curiously asked further, "When did you do this to her?" Xiao Zhan straightforwardly answered, "It was during the last time we drank together." This type of soul control technique is not about forcibly controlling someone's soul, but rather creating an induced suggestion for the soul. This technique is extremely sophisticated and definitely requires the cooperation of a spiritual seed. Otherwise, it cannot be accomplished at all. The poison that Xiao Zhan had given to Bai Yao to deal with Zhao Long was called Three Flowers Convergence. It consists of 3 different types of poison combined together. One part was consumed by Zhou Yunfi tonight. The remaining part was given to Bai Yao to administer to Zhao Long. The last part was in Xiao Zhan's hands. When these 3 types of poison separate, there will be no harm to the poisoned person. However, if all 3 appear within 1,000 meters at the same time, these 3 poisons will immediately explode, transforming into the 3 Flowers Convergence with extraordinarily dominant toxicity. Even high saint like Zhao Long would have his cultivation weakened by 40%. A low saint realm individual would suffer a 90% reduction in cultivation. A godly power realm target would lose all cultivation in an instant, becoming nothing more than a slightly stronger mortal. The effect lasts for 3 days. Of course, if the physical body is strong, the poisoned person may recover a bit sooner. Meng Yi was taken aback upon hearing this. She stared wide-eyed at Xiao Zhan, surprised that this villainous disciple had such deep thoughts. Even she was under his control, so if his tactics like this were to be expected. After thinking this, Meng Yi calmly sat down on the bed and coldly spoke. "You are truly ruthless. Just after meeting, you already think of ways to eliminate your opponent. However, even if a great saint realm individual is significantly weakened, his power is not something you can handle alone. At this point, Meng Yi slightly bowed her head and sneered. Do you really want the master to help you? Dream on, I will not help you. Hearing her beautiful respected master say this, Demonic Chu smiled and then took out the stone box he had previously obtained from the statue. The confident young man looked at Meng Yi and said, I'm not saying to make you take action. Inside this stone box is a 7th grade trap formation array. As long as you have enough divine essence stones, you'd be able to instantly activate it. By then, do you think Zhao Long, having lost 40% of his strength, would have any chance of survival? Meng Yi looked at the villainous disciple Chu with doubtful eyes and asked, Do you have divine essence stones? Xiao Zhan smiled kindly and replied, Did you forget? Didn't Zhao Yunfei give me a lot of divine essence stones? Friends help each other, haha. While speaking, Demonic Chu secretly poured manhua wine into a cup. Hearing Xiao Zhan's words, Meng Yi's face was filled with skepticism. She closed her eyes, sighed, and said, Being your friend is truly tragic. Demonic Chu smiled wickedly, casually holding a wine glass in hand and presenting it to the beautiful respected master, saying, Respected master, please enjoy some tea. Meng Yi, completely unsuspecting, accepted the cup. She raised it to her lips and drank it in one gulp. Immediately, Meng Yi felt that something was wrong. Her body suddenly became heated. She stared in shock at Xiao Zhan and hurriedly asked, Wait, what did you just make me drink? Xiao Zhan picked up the wine jar, casually smiled cunningly, and replied, The manhua wine that Bai Yao just brought. Meng Yi panicked and shouted, do you even know what this is? Villainous disciple Chu leaned close to the blushing face of respected master and said, Of course, disciples know. Disciples were also afraid that they wouldn't be able to fight against Zhao Long, so they had to prepare a little. Please help disciple level up their cultivation, respected master. Do you want disciple to lose to that Zhao Long? As Xiao Zhan spoke, he pushed Meng Yi down despite her helpless resistance. Respected master, please lay down. Villainous disciple Chu didn't forget to give a pat on respected master's peach blossom cheek, causing Meng Yi to let out a soft gasp. Seeing Meng Yi lying still, Demonic Chu smiled proudly and teased. Respected master is really obedient. Disciple is preparing to draw the sword and unleash some moves. As soon as he finished speaking, Meng Yi's hands tightly grasped the bedsheet, her eyes shut tightly, and she let out a cry. Thus, Demonic Chu and Meng Yi exchanged moves throughout the night with sounds of ah echoing throughout the room. After 2 hours of continuously exchanging new techniques, the beautiful respected master Meng Yi was exhausted, lying on the bed, while the villainous disciple Chu, refreshed, adjusted his attire and walked towards the door. Before leaving, the young man did not forget to say to Meng Yi, Respected master, you have worked hard. Please go to sleep. But just as Xiao Zhan stepped out of the bedroom, his entire body immediately trembled, staggering as he tried to use his hands to grip the door for support to keep from falling. The overwhelming bout with Meng Yi made the young man secretly think that the effect of this drug was a bit too strong and that he should use less next time. Suddenly, Xiao Zhan saw 3 dark figures standing outside the door. The young man glanced over, his mind filled with doubt as he thought, It's so late. Who would still come looking for me? Xiao Zhan pushed the door open and stepped out. 3 people wearing cloaks that covered their faces appeared before him. The young man then spoke up and asked, What brings you here? As soon as he saw Xiao Zhan, the person in the middle quickly stepped forward, grabbed Xiao Zhan's hand, and with an urgent and sincere tone said, Holy Son, please save my Zhu family. As he finished speaking, this person pulled down his cloak, revealing a tired and anxious face. This person was none other than the Emperor Zhu Yang. After hearing Zai Yu speak and learning that Zhao Long and Zhao Yunfei had rebelled, King Zhu Yang immediately sneaked out of the castle that night with Zhu Zaiyu and Zhu Zaiyu to find Xiao Zhan for an important discussion. Xiao Zhan, upon seeing Zhu Yang's face, instantly recognized his identity as the emperor. Xiao Zhan did not say much. In a calm voice, he said, Please follow me to the sitting room. Demonic Chu thought to himself, It's been almost 10 years since I last saw my brother-in-law, and he has aged so much. His hair is speckled with gray, and there are many wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. I remember how majestic he once was, like a tiger. It seems that being the king of Great Ming these past few years has not been easy. Xiao Zhan led Zhu Yang and his 3 sons to the living room. The 4 of them sat down at the tea table together. Xiao Zhan took the initiative to speak to Zhu Yang, who was sitting opposite him. Actually, who becomes king in the Great Ming does not affect me, or the Tai Su Holy Ground at all. Kid Zai Yu must have told you right. If you want me to help you, it won't be free. I have 2 conditions. King Zhu Yang responded to Xiao Zhan's words, "Holy son, please go ahead. As long as the Zhu family can do it, not only 2 conditions, but even more conditions are acceptable." Xiao Zhan looked at Zhu Yang and then raised 2 fingers, speaking with determination. "I don't need that many. I only need 2 conditions. First, I want to take 2 items from the royal treasury. Second, after the matter is accomplished, all the assets of the Northern King will belong to me. The royal treasury originally contained many valuable items, and if the family were to be annihilated, they would lose everything. As to the assets of the Northern King, they were never truly theirs, so King Zhu Yang nodded in agreement without hesitation. No problem. Xiao Zhan closed his eyes and nodded lightly, saying, "All right, you all can go back." At this moment, Zhu Ziyu and Zhu Ziyu hurriedly stood up, looking at Xiao Zhan with sincere expressions, and said, "Does the Holy Sun need us to do anything?" Xiao Zhan smiled faintly and replied, "Just act normally. You can rest assured that everything in the back will be taken care of by me." Half an hour later, the 3 of them, King Zhu Yang, Zhu Ziyu, and Zhu Ziyu, also left. Xiao Zhan immediately returned to his room to rest. The next morning at Tai Su Holy Ground in Shangjing City, as Xiao Zhan opened the door to step outside, he saw respected master basking in the sun in front of his room. At this moment, Meng Yi was enjoying a juicy red cherry when he noticed the villainous disciple Chu approaching him. Meng Yi sat up straight, appearing aloof, lazily closing his eyes to glance at the villainous disciple Chu, and replied with a hint of sulkiness in his voice. "What? Are you saying I'm in your way?" Xiao Zhan did not hesitate and seriously replied, "That's right." Meng Yi calmly held the cherry up to her eyes, observing it and then rebutting. "This place is Shangjing City. It's not your villainous disciple's territory. I can go wherever I like. Can you manage that?" Xiao Zhan crossed his arms, slightly lowered his head to look at Meng Yi, and smiled teasingly. "Respected master, please don't act shamelessly. Your image as a noble lady is about to be shattered." Meng Yi waved her hand and shouted, "Villainous disciple, get lost. I can't be bothered with you." At the same time, Meng Yi put the cherry in her mouth and chewed it vigorously. Xiao Zhan forced a smile, silently sweating as he thought, "This woman is really too captivating. I hope Sister Ho won't be like this in the future." Suddenly, Demonic Chu placed a hand on Meng Yi's shoulder, pushing her down onto the couch, startling her. The young man leaned in close, admiring Meng Yi's beautiful face, then grinned slyly and said, "I'm going out for a while. You are not allowed to follow. If you do, you know what will happen." Driven into a corner, Meng Yi could only remain silent. Villainous disciple Chu took advantage of the situation and continued speaking. "If you don't speak, it means you agree. Don't follow me. I can sense your presence." Meng Yi frowned, turned away, and sulkily said, "Who would care?" After that, Xiao Zhan left the Tai Su Holy Ground embassy. The young man quickly made his way to Shangjing City 749 Arena. This place was a chaotic area for beggars, with dirty streets filled with an unbearable stench. Along the road were beggars in tattered clothes, but hidden among them was still the aura of cultivators. This was exactly the gathering place for the poor. Xiao Zhan turned left and veered right. Half an hour later, the young man finally stood in front of a casino. As soon as Xiao Zhan appeared, a woman immediately stood waiting there and gestured. "Honored guest, please follow me." Xiao Zhan followed the woman upstairs to the 2nd floor and then into a pitch-black room. When Xiao Zhan stepped into the room, blue flames suddenly ignited on their own, illuminating half of the room. Sitting at the other end of the black stone table was the woman who had previously dealt with Xiao Zhan. Upon seeing her, Demonic Chu immediately asked, "Is what I need ready?" She smiled and replied, "I've been waiting for you for a long time. The treasure you need is all in here." With that, she threw a bag containing items onto the table in front of Xiao Zhan. Demonic Chu used her abilities to probe. "Indeed, everything inside is what I requested." Xiao Zhan also took out a memory crystal of a young man, casually placed it between her 2 grapefruits, and said, "This contains the whereabouts of the Yu Ho Emperor mantra." The girl was taken aback for a few seconds at Xiao Zhan's nonchalant action, but she did not say much and used her energy to scan the jade tablet, confirming the information within. Her face immediately lit up with excitement as she smiled, thinking, "Who would have thought that in this world, the strongest in the godly power realm would be in the hands of that person?" Haha. That night, in Shangjing City, Northern King Palace secret, inside the 7th secret level, dark underground, Tianbi and Zhen Jun, dressed in bizarre attire, stood facing Zhao Long, who was shackled and hanging upside down. "Zhao Long, let me tell you some good news. Last night, someone tried to poison me. Haha, unfortunately, he did not succeed." Zhao Long, with a hoarse voice, spoke up. "Tianbi and Zhen Jun, what do you ultimately want to do?" Tian Qiong smiled cunningly. What to do? Of course, I wanted the king of Great Ming. Ha ha ha. Do you know? Your precious son dreams of becoming a prince. Tell me, should I fulfill his wish? Hearing this, Zhao Long was furious and growled 3 words. That stupid son. Tian Qiong gave a wicked smile with a strange gaze and continued. As long as I become the king of Great Ming, I can take advantage of the vast number of Great Ming people to sacrifice for my genocide flag once I awaken its spirit. Zhao Long gritted his teeth and said, the Tai Su Holy Ground will not let you succeed. Facing Tian Qiong, Zhao Long wished he could rush at him and fight to the death. He helplessly thought, I, Zhao Long, have fought all my life for Great Ming, serving the throne with utmost loyalty without daring to delay even a moment. For hundreds of years, I have protected countless mortals of Great Ming. Who would have thought that in the end, I would be replaced by a demon clan member who has turned traitor and even wants to use the citizens of Great Ming as offerings to a monster? My reputation has been ruined in an instant because of him. Even if I sacrifice myself, I will have no face to meet the old king. At this moment, Tian Qiong transformed into the appearance of Zhao Long and laughed loudly. Ha ha ha. Zhao Long, you must not know yet, your precious son has invited Tai Su Holy Sun to Shu Island for a gathering. I want to discuss the matter of seizing royal authority with him. I really want to see what kind of talent that Tai Su Holy Sun has. Zhao Long was taken aback and exclaimed, What? Tai Su Holy Sun is supporting your plot for power? Impossible. Before leaving, Tian Qiong did not forget to give a sly smile and mockingly said, Don't worry about your wife and children. I will take care of Zhou Yunfi. He is very obedient, a good son, and your wife is also very skillful. Upon hearing this, Zhao Long struggled violently, his eyes filled with divine blood, and his body became frantic. He angrily shouted at Tian Qiong, I will kill you. You will not die in peace. The scene shifts to Shu Island in Shangjing City, which is the property of Shu Peak and one of the top entertainment venues in the Southern Realm. It snows here all year round. At this moment, in the highest building inside, the atmosphere was extremely lively. There were 2 women standing and chatting about recent events in the Tian Qiong Continent. I heard that the elder Ke Wu Hen from the Kai Shen sect will arrive in Daiming to assist the Shen Shen sect in crafting a divine item in the next half-month. He will also host a tournament in Shangjing City, inviting the younger generation to participate. I have heard about it too. It seems that Elder Kai Wu Hen promised to personally forge weapons for the strongest experts. Xiao Zhan was sitting and drinking tea with Zhao Yunfei. Not far away, Xiao Zhan curiously asked, Brother Zhao, is Kai Wu Hen the same person who refined Gu Yuan before? That's right. The refining method of Gu Yuan was established by the old senior to deal with demons. Hearing this, Xiao Zhan nodded and smiled, secretly thinking, I have wanted to refine this object for a long time. I never expected this master alchemist to come to the Southern Realm. I also didn't expect that Zhao Long would be so cautious. Bai Yao surprisingly failed to poison him, but luckily Bai Yao was not discovered by Zhao Long. At this moment, a loud shout was heard from outside the door. The Northern King is here. Xiao Zhan turned his head to look outside and thought to himself, is he here just in time for me to test him personally? At this moment, Tian Qiong, taking the form of Zhao Long, appeared like a war god. He wore a robe, his eyes deep and his expression cold yet full of majesty, instilling fear in others who dared not face him directly. Zhao Long walked straight to where Zhao Yunfi and Xiao Zhan were sitting. When Zhao Yunfi saw his father approaching, he immediately stood up, smiling happily, and gestured towards Xiao Zhan. Father, this is the holy son of Tai Su Holy Ground, Xiao Zhan. The Northern King immediately bowed, clasping his hands in greeting and smiling as he said, Greetings to Tai Su Holy Son. Xiao Zhan also smiled, clasping his hands in return. Northern King. The 3 quickly sat down at the table. The Northern King picked up a glass of wine and smiled at Xiao Zhan, saying, Holy Son, I toast to you. Xiao Zhan also raised his glass of wine, smiling in return. Northern King, your illustrious achievements deserve a toast from me. Xiao Zhan raised his wine cup. The young man glanced at the Northern King in front of him, thinking to himself, why do I feel that this Northern King has evil energy? No wonder Bai Yao's poisoning attempt failed. Has this Northern King been replaced by a demon beast? At this moment, the Northern King turned to Xiao Zhan and asked, Holy Son, has anyone outside found out about the matter regarding my child that I discussed with you in these past few days? Demonic Chu showed a puzzled expression and replied. The Northern King said, That's right. A few days ago, someone tried to poison me, but it was unsuccessful. This matter is absolutely not related to the Holy Sun, so I suspect it was the royal family that did it. Demonic Chu smiled and said, with your cultivation, how could you deal with the Zhu family? What opposition could they possibly have? Plus, with my support, you will definitely succeed. Ha ha, good. Holy Sun, let's drink together. Xiao Zhan raised his wine cup, smiled, and thought to himself, play along with him for a while, then look for an opportunity to poison him. Suddenly, Zhou Yunfei burped and collapsed to the ground. The Northern King sitting beside him was startled and asked, Yunfei, what's wrong with you? Xiao Zhan also pretended to panic and asked, Brother Zhao, what's wrong with you? In an instant, the scene became quiet. Then immediately, a woman shouted in fear upon seeing Zhou Yunfei's terrifying appearance. His eyes rolled back, his whole body trembled, and divine blood continuously flowed from his mouth. Immediately, a crowd gathered. Xiao Zhan looked shocked, wanting to sit down to examine him, but was stopped by Northern King. Holy Sun should not be touched. Xiao Zhan, in a panic, asked, Northern King, has brother Zhao been poisoned? Northern King nodded, sitting down, pressing his right hand against Zhou Yunfei's chest and channeling inner energy to examine his body. Suddenly, his pupil constricted. This poison is too lethal. If not expelled in time, in just 30 breaths, Yunfei will surely choke to death on the spot. With a worried expression, Northern King looked at Zhou Yunfei and said, Yunfei, protect your meridians first. I will use inner energy to force the poison out of you. Outwardly, he said this, but in his heart, Northern King thought, I cannot ignore Zhou Yunfei's life or death right now. Otherwise, someone will suspect my identity, which is not beneficial for the next plan. After thinking for a moment, Northern King placed both hands on Zhou Yunfei's chest, using the power of Great Saint Realm, channeling strong inner energy directly into Zhou Yunfei's body to forcibly expel the poison from within. After a while, wisps of green smoke were forced out of Zhou Yunfei's body by Northern King. Seeing this, Xiao Zhan hurriedly stepped back, waving his hand and shouting loudly, This smoke is toxic, everyone please stay back. Upon hearing this, the people surrounding immediately stepped back in fear. Even Northern King was affected by the poison while forcing it out of Zhou Yunfei. Xiao Zhan stood to the side, covering his mouth with his hand, glancing at Northern King and thinking to himself, Northern King, no matter how cunning you are like a fox, do you want to compete with me? You are only worthy of drinking my foot wash. Success or failure is determined by you. My poison has finally taken effect. Next, it's your turn to experience it. At this moment, a girl with a panicked expression spoke up. Who is the person that poisoned? How dare you? To poison Mr. Zhao in broad daylight right in front of Northern King. Suddenly, Bai Yao, with a bloodthirsty glint in her eyes, thrust her long sword through the window directly at Northern King and Zhou Yunfei. Northern King reacted quickly, grabbing the hilt of Bai Yao's sword to stop it. He looked at Bai Yao with a fierce gaze and said, So was you. Witnessing this scene, everyone was stunned. Could it be that the poison was released by Bai Yao? How could that be? Bai Yao is Zhao's close friend. She wouldn't do such a thing. Xiao Zhan stood outside watching the drama unfold, his pupils suddenly flashing with a sinister bloodlight. The young man raised his right hand, forming a gesture to transmit the sound. Self-destruct, Lady Bai Yao. Immediately, a loud explosion made the building shake violently. The shockwave forced Northern King to stagger backward. Bai Yao's sudden suicide right in front of him left Northern King utterly perplexed. He stared in disbelief, questioning, why would she commit suicide? Suddenly, an old woman appeared from thin air, walking out with a cane. She was the previous sect courtmaster of Yuying Court, Jing Yu. She looked at Northern King with a face full of anger, her killing intent nearly materializing, her white hair flying without wind. She asked Northern King in a growl, Why did you attack my disciple? Northern King lifted his head, a bit flustered, and the corners of his eyes twitched as he hurriedly spoke. I did not take her life. She took her own. Mrs. Jing Yu was furious, her left hand gripping the dragon-headed staff tightly as she said, Suicide! Then why did my disciple commit suicide? I once supported your ascendance to king, but you dare to harm my precious disciple. Consider me blind. At that moment, a golden crescent moon seal appeared on Mrs. Jing Yu's forehead. She cast a gaze filled with killing intent at Northern King and shouted, Kill! As soon as she finished speaking, a clear crescent moon materialized, swirling around Mrs. Jing Yu. The phantom of the crescent moon obscured the entire sky, its overwhelming power radiating outwards, suppressing everything below. That technique was a forbidden secret art of Yuchan Place, possessing immense power. If caught under its suppression, resistance would be nearly impossible. Below, Northern King had a grim expression. He couldn't evade this move from Mrs. Jing Yu and could only choose to face it head-on. With his entire body infused with battle energy like a spear, he charged forward to meet the descending crescent moon. Both Great State Realm experts were fiercely clashing, causing a shockwave that spread for hundreds of miles. The shockwaves radiating outwards made the entire Shangjing city clearly feel every tremor. Xiao Zhan was watching the battle when a girl ran up to him with a worried expression, saying, "Holy Son, please step in and offer some advice." Unexpectedly, at that moment, respected Master Meng Yi, sitting in his room, transmitted a message to villainous disciple Shangjing City. With the Great State Realm clashing, do not join the excitement. Hurry back. Xiao Zhan thought to himself, respected master is looking for me. It's not convenient to stay here for long. I need to leave quickly. After thinking this, Xiao Zhan turned around, cupped his hands in salute to the crowd, and smiled as he said, "Dear friends, I have some matters to attend to at home. I must excuse myself first." Meanwhile, Meng Yi was sitting alone in his room, resting his chin on his hand, a frown on his face as he scolded villainous disciple. "You're really not making anyone less worried. I don't know where you've run off to cause trouble, and yet your energy is so vigorous. It's truly asking for a beating." Half an hour later, Xiao Zhan returned to the Tai Su embassy. Just in time, he encountered the person in charge of the embassy rushing down the stairs. The young man asked, "Are you going to stop the battle?" The old woman slightly bent down and replied, "That's right, Your Highness. Protecting Shangjing City is this old woman's duty." Hearing this, Xiao Zhan did not speak to dissuade her. The young man walked straight to his room, thinking to himself, "Forget it. I won't stop her. I shouldn't interfere with the karma of others." In Xiao Zhan's room at this moment, Meng Yi was sitting alone playing the zither. When she saw villainous disciple Chu open the door and enter, she immediately asked, "Villainous disciple of yours, with such a big incident happening in the city, you don't know how to come back. Where have you been?" Xiao Zhan closed the door and calmly replied, "I just went to meet the Northern King. I heard the respected master was looking for me, so I hurried back here." Meng Yi curiously asked, "Have you met the Northern King already? Why was he fighting with the previous master of Yutang Place?" Xiao Zhan casually approached and sat beside Meng Yi, wrapped his arm around her waist, and smiled as he answered, "That's not important. What matters is that I suspect the Northern King has been replaced by a monster. Moreover, that monster's cultivation is very deep, making it difficult to deal with." Meng Yi was taken aback upon hearing this. "Haven't you come to this conclusion? If your deduction is correct, then who has replaced the Northern King? What is his purpose? Is it just to become king? This matter is not simple. For a powerful being, worldly power is like fleeting wind. It holds no attraction." Demonic Chu stroked his chin, casting a sly glance at his beautiful respected master, and continued, "I see that the situation in Shangjing City is rather complicated. Perhaps we should run away first." Upon hearing this, Meng Yi glared angrily at Xiao Zhan, scolding, "Didn't you promise Zhu Ziyu that you would help the Zhu family? How can you think of running away just because of a little danger?" Xiao Zhan muttered, "This is called being cautious and prudent. A morally upright woman like respected master wouldn't understand that. If you know nothing, just keep quiet." Meng Yi immediately jumped up, angrily shouting at Xiao Zhan, "You villainous disciple, what are you calling me? A morally upright woman? How dare you speak to me like that? Are you looking for a beating?" Demonic Chu wore a wicked smile. The young man raised his right hand, channeling his energy, and the golden light in his palm instantly blazed forth. Meng Yi's cultivation was momentarily seized by Demonic Chu. Demonic Chu looked at Meng Yi with a smug expression and said, "Respected master, don't forget that I can seal your cultivation at any time. Recently, you have started to become very arrogant. Have you forgotten the feeling of being suppressed by me? How about today I remind you of that memory once again?" Meng Yi panicked. "No, not now. It's still daytime." Demonic Chu continued to conjure a black ribbon, pressing it against Meng Yi's face, cheerfully whispering, "Oh, my dear respected master, when did we start to distinguish between day and night? Moreover, if you close your eyes, isn't it already dark?" Immediately, Demonic Chu covered the beautiful respected master's eyes with a black ribbon. Meng Yi shouted, "Villainous disciple, if you are a man, then release my seal." Demonic Chu pushed Meng Yi down, curling his lips into a smile. "Release the seal? That is absolutely impossible." Then Xiao Zhan and Meng Yi exchanged moves with each other, followed by Meng Yi's ah sounds echoing throughout the room. An hour later, the battle finally came to an end. As always, victory tilted in favor of Demonic Chu. Meng Yi, feeling exhausted, lay on the bed and fell asleep. Xiao Zhan, in high spirits, adjusted his clothes and prepared to go outside. Upon opening the door, Xiao Zhan encountered Zhu Ziyu approaching. "Holy Son." Xiao Zhan acknowledged with a nod and asked, "How is it? Has Zhao Long's materials been brought to me yet?" "They have all been delivered." Princess Zhu Ziyu then took out a bundle of documents and handed it to Xiao Zhan. Suddenly, her cheeks flushed immediately. Zhu Ziyu hesitated to speak. Xiao Zhan looked at Zhu Ziyu with a puzzled expression and asked, "What's wrong?" Zhu Ziyu opened her eyes wide and looked at Xiao Zhan, saying, "Holy son, there is lipstick mark on your cheek." Xiao Zhan hurriedly wiped away the lipstick mark on his cheek, forcing a smile, and replied, "It's not a lipstick mark. It's from a cat bite." Unexpectedly, a female disciple rushed in from outside and said, "Not good, holy son." Xiao Zhan asked, "What happened?" The female disciple choked up and replied, "Respected master, your soul plate has been shattered." Xiao Zhan's eyes narrowed slightly as the young man thought, has the person in charge of the embassy died? At the same time, in Shangjing City, in the void, Tian Qiong had a dark expression as he looked at the hooded figure who covered their face and questioned, "Why did you have to take her life? Don't you know she was in charge of the Tai Su embassy?" The hooded figure replied in a low voice, "She saw you using techniques of the demon clan. If you don't kill her to silence her, is there any other way?" Tian Qiong rubbed his forehead, sighed in frustration, and said, "You could have captured her alive instead of killing her. This time, it seems we've stirred up a hornet's nest. The Tai Su Holy Ground will definitely send someone to investigate our exploitation of royal power to sacrifice humans to demons, and that will be exposed." Upon hearing this, the hooded figure smirked wickedly and replied, "Rest assured, before making a move, I had sealed the space of Shangjing City. Within 12 hours, they won't be able to send any news outside. The only great saint Zhaolong in Shangjing City has been controlled by you. Jing Yu and the person in charge of the Tai Su embassy have also been killed by us. Now, who in Shangjing City can stop us?" Tian Qiong said worriedly, "But the holy son of Tai Su Holy Ground is also in Shangjing City." The black-robed man smugly replied, "He's just an immature holy son. There's nothing to be afraid of. I can easily crush him at any time. All right, let's not waste any more time. You will go to the castle and destroy the core of the grand formation, while I will prepare the sacrifice." At this moment, an image of the mysterious black-robed man appeared. He was using one hand to choke the old woman in charge of the Tai Su embassy in Xiao Zhan's room at the Tai Su embassy. Xiao Zhan and Meng Yi were reviewing the footage of the perpetrator that led to the official's death through the recorded image projection. Meng Yi frowned, his expression serious as he said, "This person's strength is very strong, likely at the Great Saint realm middle stage. With the Northern King involved, there are probably 2 great saints appearing in Shangjing City." Xiao Zhan, resting his chin on his hand, looked contemplative and replied, "I originally planned to find someone to send a message to the Holy Ground, but the space in Shangjing City has been sealed, so we can't send a message out." After finishing his words, Xiao Zhan tilted his head towards Meng Yi and spoke tentatively. "Respected master, it seems that the opponent's greed is quite large. Are we preparing to swallow the entire Shangjing City, or should we just run? Taking the people of Zhu family with us, ensuring they do not die, is not considered a betrayal on our part. Once we leave, what will happen to the hundreds of mortals here? You can go, but I cannot." Xiao Zhan looked seriously at Meng Yi and said, "Aren't you afraid of death?" Hearing Xiao Zhan's question, Meng Yi gently hugged her unborn child with both hands, her eyes filled with fighting spirit. She replied firmly, "Yes, I'm afraid, but protecting the peace of a city is the duty of a holy ground cultivator. Furthermore, I do not want the tragedy to happen again in Shangjing City, like in Kaishan district back then." Suddenly, Xiao Zhan reached out and held Meng Yi's hand. The young man smiled and said, "If that's the case, you should head to the castle immediately. No matter what the opponent wants to do, they still have to break through the 99 star great formations." Looking at Xiao Zhan, Meng Yi voiced her concern. "What about you?" Meng Yi held Xiao Zhan's hand with both of hers. Xiao Zhan affectionately looked at his respected master and happily reassured her, "I treasure my life and can't be some saint. Of course, I will hide in the embassy waiting for you to return. Be careful and make sure nothing happens." Hearing the words and gestures of the villainous disciple Chu towards her, Meng Yi felt a bit shy and embarrassed. She immediately turned around and said in a raised voice, "If you, as a villainous disciple, still have some conscience, then stay here and don't run around outside." Seeing the lovely demeanor of the respected master, Xiao Zhan squinted his eyes and smiled warmly, responding, "Respected master, you can rest assured. I will wait in the room for your return. You must also pay attention to your safety." A moment later, continuous loud explosions echoed in the sky above the castle. Smoke and fire engulfed the entire area. At this moment, Tian Qiong revealed his true form as a cunning and sly 9-tailed fox. With an angry expression, Tian Qiong said to Meng Yi, "You are actually in Shangjing City surprising others." Meng Yi held a long sword in her hand with a backdrop of illusory snow flowers floating around, exuding tremendous power. She exclaimed in astonishment, "Tian Mi and Zhen Jun, do you impersonate the Northern King?" Tian Mi and Zhen Jun smugly replied, "That's right, so what?" With impassive face, Meng Yi gripped her long sword and charged towards Tian Mi and Zhen Jun, shouting loudly, "Frozen Decimation, Blade of Three Worlds." As soon as the technique was unleashed, snowflakes began to float in the air. They crystallized into a snow circle, annihilating everything, the intent of the sword crisscrossing as it struck toward the fox Tian Mi and Zhen Jun in front of it. Tian Mi and Zhen Jun's pupils instantly contracted. He snorted and said, "Are you using the divine sword technique against me right from the start?" After that, Tian Mi and Zhen Jun gripped his long knife, his white hair fluttering, and with all of his strength, swung the knife. He shouted, "Break!" Boom, boom. The blade cut through the space, shattering Meng Yi's frozen decimation. The ice and snow shattered, floating in the air. Meng Yi immediately tilted her body to avoid it, the slicing force capable, cutting through everything it touched. Meng Yi's facial muscles stiffened, incredibly angry, casting a cold gaze toward Tian Mi and Zhen Jun. She descended once more, raising her sword to unleash the second strike. Frozen Decimation, Blade of Three Worlds. The phantom behind suddenly condensed into a freezing point, slowly rising, boom, boom. The temperature beside began to drop, the surrounding space starting to freeze. The freezing point grew larger and larger, eventually forming an area of ice and snow that enveloped both of them. Seeing this scene, Tian Mi and Zhen Jun's face immediately changed. "This crazy woman, Black Soul, stop watching the show. Come and help me. I'm out of match for her." As soon as he finished speaking, Black Soul appeared, standing in front of Tian Mi and Zhen Jun. He struck with a gigantic black hand, countering Meng Yi's iced and snow technique. Boom, boom. Meng Yi's Blade of Three Worlds was immediately shattered, creating a gap. After helping Tian Mi and Zhen Jun block a move from Meng Yi, Black Soul sneered, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Ha ha, Tian Mi and Zhen Jun, you are truly shameful." Tian Mi and Zhen Jun was still in a panic, trying to explain. "I don't know why she's ridiculously strong after breaking through the middle stage of Great Saint." Meanwhile, Meng Yu was standing in the world of ice and snow, her expression grim, quietly watching the two. Black Soul glanced at Meng Yi, a sinister smile on his face. "Let's work together. 2 against 1. No matter how strong she is, she will die." With that, he looked up at Meng Yi, loudly provoking her. "You are all alone. Even if you can hold us off, you won't be able to do anything against Zhu Tian Bad Gui. The bloodline formation will activate in just a moment. All the people in Shangjing City will turn to blood and be absorbed by Zhu Tian Bad Gui's bloodline formation. At that point, our plan will succeed." Suddenly, a stream of red pressure shot up from below, startling Tian Mi and Zhen Jun. Immediately, his expression changed as he looked towards the dungeon imprisoning Zhao Long. He spoke in a panic. "This is bad. Someone opened the seal at the dungeon imprisoning Zhao Long. Perhaps I should have killed Zhao Long earlier to prevent future troubles." Hearing this, Black Soul immediately spoke up. "No, you handle Zhao Long first. We can't let him recover. Otherwise, we will be in big trouble if he teams up with Shai Meng Yi." Tian Mi and Zhen Jun nodded and rushed towards Northern King. He gritted his teeth and muttered, "Damn it, who is messing up my plans?" Meng Yi immediately shouted, "Don't even think about running." Holding a longsword in hand, she leaped to chase after Tian Mi and Zhen Jun immediately. She was blocked by Black Soul. "Don't be in such a hurry, we haven't finished fighting yet." Meng Yi was filled with anxiety. She certainly knew who had entered the Northern King to break the seals of the dungeon and rescue the Northern King. She immediately sent a voice message, angrily scolding, "Aren't you the one who said you wanted to hide in the embassy? Why did your villainous disciple deceive me? Tian Mi and Zhen Jun has come looking for you all. You must be very careful. If you can't win, then run." Hearing the voice message from his beloved, respected master, the young man Xiao Zhan looked up at the sky. He smiled confidently, conveying a response, "Respected master, don't worry. Demonic Chu is not a deity. He has never liked being a hero, but he cannot stand by and watch his woman being harmed. That's why he risks everything to rush to the dungeon and really rescue the Northern King. If that's the case, our side will gain a great saint, allowing Meng Yi to score a victory. Who knows, we might even break the stalemate and bring back a fake Northern King." In the sky at that moment, Meng Yi cast a cold gaze at Black Soul, her voice chillingly echoing, "Get out." She wanted to deal with Black Soul as quickly as possible. She only hoped that the villainous disciple Chu, with the 7 deadly items formation and supreme threefold venom in hand, could buy her some time when facing Tian Qiong while she rushed to provide support. Contrary to Meng Yi's mood, Black Soul calmly admired her alluring figure. He smiled wickedly and said, "I've heard you possess heavenly fragrance. Cultivating with you can greatly enhance my cultivation, Lady Meng Yi. Since things have come to this point, there's no need for any more futile resistance. Just look at what's behind me." Ha ha ha. Immediately, the soul-reaping spear was summoned by Black Soul. The concentration of blood energy emanating from the soul-reaping spear was horrifying. Countless civilians were absorbed and devoured by this soul-reaping spear. They could not resist, only watching helplessly as their bodies dissipated. Blood mist rose, staining the sky red. Witnessing this scene, Meng Yi's expression changed immediately. "It's the soul-raping spear. You have activated the blood sacrifice grand formation." Below Shangjing City, everything was bathed in a bright red hue of blood, and the scene turned mournful. The anguished cries echoed, I don't want to die." A man with a face full of terror turned to look at the child he held being consumed by the soul-raping spear. My son, my son." Meng Yi's expression became serious. She silently pointed 2 fingertips at her abdomen to increase protection for her child and Xiao Zhan. She prepared to burn her cultivation, intending to collapse the condensed space and fight desperately against Black Soul. Knowing Meng Yi's intention, Black Soul smiled cunningly and confidently spoke. "Why do you need to do this? You have no way to get past the immortal corpse to attack me. I have long been in an invincible position." Suddenly, a voice came from afar. "Peak Master of Yun He, I have come to help you deal with Black Soul." As soon as the words finished, a figure in battle attire appeared behind Meng Yi, none other than Northern King wielding a spear with a majestic demeanor. Seeing Northern King beside her, Meng Yi immediately rushed in front of him. She hurriedly asked, "Is Xiao Zhan okay?" Northern King replied, "Holy Son is fine. He said he wants to hold Tian Qiong back. He told me to come here to help the peak master of Yun He." Meng Yi's eyes could not hide her worry. "All right, quickly deal with Black Soul." Seeing Northern King appear here, Black Soul was furious and gritted his teeth, cursing, "Tian Qiong, that foolish name, you haven't killed him yet." Faced with 2 powerful Great Saint Realm experts, Black Soul had no choice but to turn and flee, cursing Tian Qiong as he ran. Meng Yi pursued Black Soul closely, using all the strength to continuously create sharp ice shards that shot toward Black Soul. At this moment, Black Soul was pierced all over by Meng Yi's ice shards. The areas where the ice had pierced gradually began to freeze into ice. In pain and panic, Black Soul looked at Meng Yi and shouted loudly, "Damn it, Meng Yi, let me go." At the same time, Northern King seized the opportunity, charging toward Black Soul. He thrust his spear hard into Black Soul's abdomen. The dark energy surrounding him mixed with divine blood, splattering everywhere, officially sending him off to meet the Grim Reaper. Meng Yi and Northern King stood watching Black Soul's body fall below. At this moment, Northern King hurriedly spoke, "Yun He, Peak Master, let's quickly go help the Holy Sun." Meng Yi immediately formed a seal with her 2 fingers to open the void. Her face was pale, unclear whether from the battle or because of Xiao Zhan. Meng Yi thought to herself, the villainous disciple is at transcendent realm. Can he withstand an attack from the Great Saint Realm? The villainous disciple must not have any accidents. He must wait for me. Outside the Northern King Palace, many monks and surviving civilians from the blood sacrifice were drawn in by the sound echoing from inside. "Little Lord, don't run away." Inside the Northern King Palace, Xiao Zhan, holding the Overlord Dragonblade, was gleefully playing tag with Tian Qiong at that moment. He looked extremely scared, running while shouting, "Damn pervert, you! Don't come over here if you're capable. Don't chase me. If you keep chasing me, I won't escape." Tian Qiong was desperately trying to run outside the Northern King Palace, but unfortunately, he slipped and fell face first onto the ground. The earth and rocks around him shattered. The people outside quickly surrounded him. Immediately, someone recognized and exclaimed, "This is Tian Qiong. Isn't Tian Qiong a great saint realm? What happened for it to be this disastrous?" At that moment, a figure stepped onto a red script on his shoulder, carrying the Overlord Dragonblade, moving atop the roof. The young man, shirtless, with tan skin, clearly defined muscles, and an 8-pack abs arranged in rows, had long black hair blowing in the wind. Its handsome, imposing demeanor made the women below captivated and mesmerized. The young man smiled confidently, glancing at the people below, finally fixing his gaze on Tian Qiong. Someone recognized him and shouted, "It's Holy Son Xiao Zhan. Could it be that Xiao Zhan is the one who has reduced Tian Qiong to such a pitiful state? The Holy Sun is so impressive." At that moment, Meng Yi, after opening the void, hurried to Xiao Zhan's side. Witnessing the entire scene, Meng Yi felt a bit sulky and thought, he can force a great saint to such a miserable state. He truly is remarkable. Humph, it's a waste of my concern for him. He's just showing off in front of the women below. A moment later, Xiao Zhan jumped down from the rooftop, holding the Overlord Dragon Blade aloft, aimed directly at where Tian Qiong was lying, and swung down. Demonic Chu smiled and shouted, Tian Qiong, I will send you on your way. Suddenly, the soul-reaping spear appeared from nowhere, helping Tian Qiong block Xiao Zhan's strike. Unexpectedly, a strange occurrence happened. The spirit within the soul-reaping spear released a hint of the oppressive aura of the Demon Emperor, a terrifying presence sweeping through everything, suppressing from all sides. That caused the monks around to be filled with dread. None of them could withstand the pressure, and one by one, they knelt down, trembling on the ground. Even the low saint could not endure it and had to kneel as well. A low saint exclaimed in panic, "This is the presence of an ancient emperor." In contrast, Xiao Zhan here still held the Overlord Dragon Blade tightly and struck down. His eyes glittered with blood and fury, and the youth wore a cold, disdainful smile, confidently declaring, "You're just an item that possesses a little presence of a monster emperor. Even so, what if the monster emperor arrives by themselves? If I, Xiao Zhan, refuse to kneel, no one in the world can force me to kneel." Tian Qiong was initially taken aback by this scene, then felt a surge of wild joy in his heart. He thought he would die today and never expected that the soul-raping spear's spirit would restore and save him. Tian Qiong looked at Xiao Zhan, smiled proudly, and said, "Ha ha ha. Xiao Zhan, I admit your methods are extraordinary. I can say that I almost lost to you. Even the holy artifact had to self-destruct because of you. No matter what methods you have or how meticulously you planned, you indeed did not give me even a shred of opportunity to resist. But what is the final result? You still can't do anything to me. Now I have the soul-reaping spear for protection. Not only can you not kill me, but those here cannot kill me either. Ha ha ha." As soon as the words ended, a voice from Tai Su echoed from the void. "Let me try to kill you." Tai Su, in a flowing green dress swaying in the wind, stepped out. She looked like a celestial being standing above the 9 heavens, observing the mortal beings. Her skin was like jade, flawless, with long, slender thighs, a graceful and elegant figure, and a petite, charming waist. The cold, icy face of the powerful one, along with her deep-set eyes like an abyss thousands of fathoms deep, and her blue hair cascading down her shoulders, all created an incredibly beautiful woman, both in demeanor and strength. Upon seeing His Highness, the saintly sovereign, arrive, Xiao Zhan couldn't help but smirk, secretly pleased in his heart. Mo elders indeed have high efficiency. As soon as the barrier disappeared, it brought Tai Su here. When Tian Qiong saw Tai Su appear, he was extremely frightened because Tai Su's appearance meant his death sentence. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed from the void. "Why must Tai Su bully the weak?" As the voice faded, a golden light flashed. A figure covered in golden fur leaped out of the void. He wore black armor and held a huge golden iron staff in his hand. The aura he emanated was incredibly powerful. He was also a dominant existence of the demon clan. He was the golden ape. Tai Su's right arm surged with killing intent. She wanted to strike down Tian Qiong. Upon seeing the golden ape appear, Tai Su halted her actions. She looked at the golden ape with a cold expression and said, "Golden ape, you monster, are you so shameless? You came to human territory and slaughtered my people, sacrificing for the annihilation flag, and now you say I'm bullying the weak?" Hearing Tai Su's words, the golden ape's face immediately contorted. He did not want to engage with Tai Su, mainly because he was not her match. He could only force a smile at Tai Su and replied, "We are in the wrong, so name your price for you to let go of this white fox." Xiao Zhan unexpectedly spoke up to the golden ape. "I am the one who defeated the Lord of 1,000 Faces. I want his item storage ring and 1 Lu Po golden lotus. I don't work for free." Hearing this, the golden ape immediately frowned and muttered, "Let the storage ring go, damn it. You even want the treasure. You really think our tribe is rich?" Tai Su saw that the golden ape hesitated and was unwilling to respond to Xiao Zhan, so she immediately reminded, "Don't forget, you still owe me 3 types of treasure." The golden ape was extremely angry to hear this, nearly spitting out a mouthful of divine blood. The golden ape said to Tai Su with a reluctant tone, "Fine, I'll accept it. It's just that the Lu Po golden lotus grows in the primordial fog and is hard to find. Give me 3 days, I'll gather them all together in 3 days. Tai Su had an expressionless face as she turned to the soul-reaping spear hovering in the air and said, "Today I will seal this evil energy for 300 years to atone for the lives lost. Golden Ape, take this fox away and don't let it cause any more trouble for the mortal realm. Golden Ape, although boiling with anger inside, remained silent and left with Tian, Qiong, Zhan, and Tao. Before leaving, he did not forget to say to Tai Su Zi, "You are indeed ruthless." In the blink of an eye, Golden Ape disappeared into the void with Tian, Qiong, Jun. Tai Su Zi stood there silently gazing to the north, a flash of killing intent flickering in his eyes before vanishing. That evening in Shangjing City, life returned to normal for everyone. In a tea house somewhere in Shangjing City, people were buzzing about Xiao Zhan. The Holy Sun is truly impressive. It's important to know he only has cultivation at the transcendent realm. Tai Su Holy Ground indeed lives up to being the last dominant force of this era, with the Tai Su Zi appearing 3,000 years ago, almost being unrivaled in the world. Now, 3,000 years later, there is a terrifying prodigy like Xiao Zhan. Such luck and fortune truly make one envious. It seems Xiao Zhan will become the next Tai Su Zi. At this moment, Xiao Zhan was sitting behind his screen, quietly sipping tea and listening to the conversations of the cultivators, a deeper smile on his face. In the back hall of the Tai Su Embassy in Shangjing City, Meng Yi and Huo Lu Fi were sitting across from each other, and Sister Huo curiously asked Meng Yi, "Where had your disciple gone?" Meng Yi casually replied, "Who knows where he has been rolling around? He must have gone to meet someone from the royal family, saying he wants to retrieve something from the treasury. I can't be bothered to manage him. Are you looking for him for something? I can help you call him back." Sister Hoa smiled beautifully upon hearing this, her eyes observing Meng Yi. She slightly parted her lips. "Meng Yi, didn't you say you wanted to go outside to relieve your worries? Why did you come to Shangjing City for that? Surely you don't want to secretly protect your disciple, do you?" Meng Yi felt a pang of guilt upon hearing this. She lightly twisted her waist, looking cool and aloof, and half closed her eyes to respond. "I didn't. Don't talk nonsense. I just happened to pass by here. Who would have known there would be a monster sacrifice ritual here?" Sister Hoa smiled and reluctantly replied, Yes, you're right." Meng Yi curiously asked, "By the way, haven't you returned to the Holy Ground yet?" Sister Hoa answered, "I have no reason to return. It's better to stroll around here." Meng Yi was surprised and exclaimed, "Ha!" Sister Hoa, confused, asked, "What do you mean? Aren't you welcoming me?" Meng Yi hesitated, forcing a smile as she quickly replied, "Ha ha, of course, welcoming you means welcoming me too." Just then, Xiao Zhan pushed the door open from outside, startling both women, who turned to look. Upon seeing Xiao Zhan, Sister Hoa immediately stood up. She smiled and walked over to Xiao Zhan, saying, "Xiao Zhan, you're back." Xiao Zhan, surprised to see Tai Su Zi, responded, "Sister Hoa, why did you come to Shangjing City?" Xiao Zhan boldly took Sister Hua's hand and cheerfully said, "Sister Hua, I invite you to have tea." Hua Lu Fai's face turned red instantly, and she looked at Xiao Zhan, replying, "Why are you in such a hurry? Your respected master is watching us." Witnessing this scene, Meng Yi felt a surge of emotions, jealousy, astonishment, and doubt. She wondered when they had known each other. At that moment, Xiao Zhan calmly addressed Meng Yi, who was sitting there, while he narrowed his eyes and smiled, asking, "Respected master, I invite Sister Hua to have tea. Will you join us?" Meng Yi's face was filled with jealousy and sulkiness as she replied, "I'm too tired today. I can't go anymore. Respected master, you should rest early." Hearing this, Meng Yi immediately felt irritated. She was basically just being a little sulky and jealous to gain the attention of the villainous disciple Chu. Unexpectedly, the villainous disciple Chu blatantly ignored her. Meng Yi's blood boiled instantly, veins popping on her forehead, gritting her teeth. With eyes full of jealous anger, she silently cursed. How dare this villainous disciple lay a hand on the saintly sovereign, and you, Hu Lu Fei, not even sparing my disciple. Under the softly flickering lantern light, Xiao Zhan and Hu Lu Fei strolled hand in hand, leisurely walking through the streets. They stopped at a hairpin stall by the road. Holding a flower hairpin, Xiao Zhan turned to Hu Lu Fei and said, "Sister Hua, I think this hairpin suits you very well. You should try it on." Hu Lu Fei felt a bit shy and blushed, quickly saying, "Don't be mischievous. Your respected master is watching." Hu Lu Fei forced a smile, thinking to herself, "It's really embarrassing to be caught in such a scene by close friends. Meng Yi, does she think she's an old cow grazing on tender grass?" Xiao Zhan looked at Sister Hua and casually replied with a smile, "It's fine. We're not doing anything overly inappropriate. Respected master won't say anything." Xiao Zhan certainly knows that his respected master is hiding behind and secretly watching the entire journey. The young man smiles, glancing at his respected master, thinking to himself, "Has respected master followed me all this long way just to join in the excitement?" Standing hidden behind, Meng Yi is extremely angry upon witnessing this scene. Frowning, she thinks, "Your face is all flushed. This villainous disciple, do you not know who Ho Lu Fei is? Ho Lu Fei has not revealed their true identity." Xiao Zhan probably doesn't know that if he knew Ho Lu Fei was the saintly sovereign, this villainous disciple, Chu would not dare to joke around and act so recklessly. Seeing Xiao Zhan and Ho Lu Fei holding hands, happily chatting as they walk down the road, Meng Yi wonders internally, why do I feel uncomfortable seeing this villainous disciple and Ho Lu Fei together? Could it be? Meng Yi reaches for her baby bump, her gaze becoming hazy. How could I possibly feel jealous of that villainous disciple? Absolutely impossible. Meng Yi is furious, steam coming out of her ears. She clenches her fists, trying to suppress her emotions, and then follows behind Xiao Zhan and Ho Lu Fei. I hear for Ho Lu Fei, yes, I can bear the suffering of being bullied by the villainous disciple alone. On this side, Xiao Zhan and Ho Lu Fei were walking down the street when they encountered a little girl carrying a basket of flowers. The girl gave her big, sparkling, adorable eyes a look at Xiao Zhan and spoke up. Brother, buy some flowers for sister, please." Xiao Zhan then bought the entire basket of flowers, took one, and placed it in Ho Lu Fei's hair. The young man smiled brightly and said, "Sister, you are truly beautiful. This flower looks very ordinary, but when it's in your hair, it becomes beautiful just like you. This is what we call a beauty that surpasses the flower." Ho Lu Fei blushed shyly, her pink lips slightly parted. "You are really sweet-tongued. Your words are too charming." Standing not far away, Meng Yi couldn't help but scold. "How disgusting. You can actually say such nauseating words. Villainous disciple, why have you never told me before? So it's because your cultivation hasn't progressed that you haven't understood this principle." After that, Xiao Zhan and Ho Lu Fei went into a tea house, heading straight to the second floor. Ho Lu Fei knew Meng Yi was always following behind, so she glanced at Meng Yi and transmitted her voice. "Meng Yi, don't misunderstand. We are just calling each other sisters. That's all. Nothing more. You can go back with me here. Who could possibly harm Xiao Zhan?" Hearing these words from Tai Su Zi, Meng Yi became even more enraged. She gritted her teeth and thought to herself, "Is this an explanation? Calling each other sisters, holding hands, embracing each other, even going shopping together. Ha ha, and claiming there's nothing going on. Do they think I will believe that? This villainous disciple deserves to die. Clearly he can sense my presence, yet he pretends not to see. According to his words, this is what you call a scum man. If I had known this earlier, I would have looked for an opportunity to slap him dead." Seeing that Meng Yi had not responded for a long time, Ho Lu Fei couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong with you? Why are you saying anything?" Meng Yi was startled and replied, "Oh, I'm fine. We are good sisters, so of course I trust you. You can go shopping with Xiao Zhan. I'll head back now." Immediately, Meng Yi vanished into thin air. A few minutes later, she appeared on the upper floor, sitting behind a curtain, watching Xiao Zhan and Ho Lu Fei. Angry, holding a cup of tea in her hand, she frowned slightly and thought, "If you want me to leave, do you think I will? I actually want to see what this pair of sisters is really up to." On this side, Xiao Zhan politely brought a cup of tea to Ho Lu Fei. "Sister, please enjoy the tea." Ho Lu Fei looked at Xiao Zhan and smiled in response. "Don't just pour tea for me, you should drink too." At that moment, Xiao Zhan sat next to Ho Lu Fei, casually wrapping an arm around her shoulders, and began to turn on the romantic mode. "Sister, look, the scenery outside is so beautiful. You're not afraid of the long journey to Shangjing City, so today you should relax." After saying a few flirtatious words and with a few massage moves from Xiao Zhan, Tai Su Zi's face turned red. She gently closed her eyes and comfortably rested her head on Xiao Zhan's shoulder. Seizing the opportunity, demonic Chu leaned closer to Ho Lu Fei's face, and his hands started to grope and check after days of separation. The young man whispered, "Sister Hua." Ho Lu Fei revealed a faint smile and let out a soft sound. Their eyes met affectionately. Witnessing the tender situation between the two, Meng Yi's jealousy immediately reached its peak. She clenched her fists, grinding her teeth, and thought to herself, "Where is that villainous disciple's hand reaching? What a shameful act! Can Ho Lu Fei really be that careless? Her skin is so thick, and to act like that. She is a saintly sovereign. Please be mindful of your status." The more Meng Yi looked, the more the fire of anger in her heart surged. She hated that she could not rush in and catch them in the act. Meanwhile, Xiao Zhan was being affectionate with Tai Su Zi when he suddenly sensed an unusual aura from the mother and son samsara seal on Meng Yi. The young man glanced over at Meng Yi, wondering, "What's wrong with respected master?" The feeling in respected master's heart is restless and uneasy. At that moment, outside the tea house, someone was banging a gong and loudly announcing, "Passing by, come on over. Don't miss the highest gold content auction in recent years in Shangjing City. It's about to begin. Everyone, take a look at these treasures that will be auctioned off." Finishing his words, a young man placed the image-storing quartz neatly on the table. The young man lightly tapped the image-storing quartz with his finger, and immediately, it shot out a blue light that rose high and then gathered into packages and items. People gathered around to watch, murmuring and discussing nonstop. On the upper floor, Xiao Zhan and Huo Fi held hands while watching the images being live-streamed throughout Shangjing City. After glancing over the items included in the upcoming auction, Huo Fi smiled and said, "This piece of refined metal of this size is worth no less than 300 divine essence stones." Xiao Zhan carefully observed each auction item that appeared. Suddenly, his eyes stopped on the bronze tray, filled with excitement. Xiao Zhan rubbed his chin, smiled slightly, and thought, "The broken part of this bronze tray matches the piece of bronze containing the heavenly sword seed. I must get it." Huo Fei, with her high cultivation level, looked at Xiao Zhan with a smile, clearly noticing his inner feelings. She smiled and asked, "Xiao Zhan, what's wrong? Is there a valuable item at the auction?" Upon hearing Huo Fei's question, Xiao Zhan regained his composure, lifted Huo Fei's hand, and gently placed a sweet kiss on her knuckles. "Sister Hua, you truly are my lucky star." Tai Suzi was surprised by Xiao Zhan's action, but she just remained silent and smiled. Witnessing this scene, Meng Yi was astonished, her eyes wide open and mouth agape, almost crying out. They're even kissing. Meng Yi initially thought that her group of close friends would react, that they couldn't let the villainous disciple Chu do whatever he wanted. But to her surprise, she saw that her friends only smiled, showing no reaction, even blushing and feeling shy. Huo Fei, you weren't like this before. Clearly, you are an extremely arrogant, cold, domineering, and strict person. Why are you like this now? Meanwhile, Xiao Zhan smiled at Sister Hua, affectionately saying, "If you're free tomorrow, let's go to the auction together." Huo Fei agreed, "Okay, I will go with you." Half an hour later, Xiao Zhan and Huo Fi left the tea house. Xiao Zhan said, "Then I'll take you to watch a movie." Huo Fi wondered, "What is watching a movie?" Xiao Zhan replied, "You'll find out later." At this moment, 200 meters away from the two, at a small pottery stall, respected Master Meng Yi was holding a cup, her face serious as she carefully chose some porcelain. Xiao Zhan incomprehensibly called out, "Respected Master, what are you doing?" Meng Yi turned around, pretending to smile, and replied, "The teacup in the house broke. I'm going out to buy a few." Huo Fei spoke up, "This trivial matter can just be handed to a disciple. There's no need for the Yun Xia Peep Master to do it personally." Hearing this, Meng Yi was furious, filled with questions. "So, when there are no villainous disciples around, you call me Meng Yi, but as soon as there are villainous disciples here, you call me Yun Xia Peep Master." Seeing the expression of the respected master, Demonic Chu immediately sensed the killing intent, causing the young man to break out in a sweat. Looking for an excuse to flee, Demonic Chu forced a smile and pretended to be cheerful as he said, "Sister Hua, respected master, let me go buy drinks for you too. Please wait a moment." As soon as he finished speaking, Demonic Chu quickly took off running. After Xiao Zhan left, Huo Fi explained to Meng Yi, "Xiao Zhan doesn't know my identity. Right now, I'm just an elder of Dalian Peak. Don't reveal it, or it will be very awkward." Meng Yi angrily questioned, "Saintly Sovereign, first of all, not to mention other matters, why are you so close with Xiao Zhan? You are the Saintly Sovereign. Please pay attention to your status. Don't lose your dignity." Huo Fi, looking flustered, replied weakly, "Xiao Zhan doesn't know my identity. Don't misunderstand, my relationship with Xiao Zhan is completely pure. It's just that he keeps calling me sister, and I can't do anything about it." Meng Yi coldly laughed. "Are siblings supposed to hold hands, or are siblings meant to embrace, be intimate, and affectionate?" Upon hearing this, Huo Fei felt a bit shy and looked at Meng Yi, replying, "You've misunderstood." Meng Yi sadly whispered, "I saw it with my own eyes." Sister Hoa seriously looked at Meng Yi and asked, "Are you jealous? That's not good. He is your disciple, and moreover, you are pregnant." Meng Yi immediately blushed, closing her eyes to avoid the topic, and replied, "What are you thinking? How could I possibly be jealous? I just think you two are not a good match. Besides, the age difference between you is too large." Huo Fei blushed, smiling gently. "Don't worry," he said, "girls older than 3,000 are worth more than gold." I didn't agree with him. Respected master, with wide phoenix eyes, angrily explained, "What? He said that to you?" Looking at Meng Yi, Huo Fei spoke sincerely, "Don't be agitated. So what if I have a relationship with Xiao Zhan? We are all cultivators, and age differences don't matter. He is not married and I am not engaged, so what's wrong with it? Meng Yi's gaze immediately darkened. She gritted her teeth and said, Lu Fei, you have changed. I considered you a confidant, but you want to be the wife of my disciple. Just as Meng Yi and Huo Lu Fi exchanged tense looks, Xiao Zhan entered, holding 2 cups of tea. The young man said, Respected master, Sister Hoa, I bought some specialty drinks from Shangjing, cherry blossom yogurt. Please try it. After Xiao Zhan returned, Huo Lu Fei acted as if nothing had happened. She smiled at Xiao Zhan and softly said, Xiao Zhan, since we've run into Master Yun Xia here, let's go watch a movie together. Seeing that his beloved respected master had no objections, the young man happily replied, Sure. Demonic Chu felt extremely pleased. Going to watch a movie with 2 beautiful women was unbeatable. Sister Hoa really understood him. She was indeed a great sister. On the way to the theater, Xiao Zhan casually took Meng Yi's hand in one hand while playfully squeezing Huo Lu Fi's butt with the other, causing Huo Lu Fi to flinch and her cheeks to immediately flush with color. She quickly averted her gaze. Seeing Sister Huo's reaction, Xiao Zhan's lips curved into a satisfied smile. Meng Yi also sensed something happening between the two, but she remained silent, only casting a sorrowful glance upward. In this way, the 3 of them, each with their own emotions and moods, arrived at the theater. After a while, they reached the venue where a play titled Divine Woman Tai Su Descends the Mountain was currently being performed. In reality, this was a type of shadow play, utilizing the principles of refraction and skillfully manipulating paper figures to create shadows on the stage screen. Xiao Zhan, Meng Yi, and Huo Lu Fi were seated below, attentively watching the play. Xiao Zhan mused to himself, This play tells the story of Tai Su Zi, who, while serving as a holy maiden, descends the mountain to travel and cultivate. I wonder what Sister Hoa thinks about this story from back then. Suddenly, a nearby boy pointed to the stage and asked his mother, Is Tai Su Divine Maiden the same as Tai Su Saintly Sovereign? The mother smiled and replied, Yes, she is the celestial being from the heavens you saw yesterday. If you grow up to be as powerful as that celestial being, then you'll be able to protect me. Seeing this scene, Huo Lu Fi's heart stirred slightly, and a hint of hostility appeared in her eyes. Although she could be described as exceptionally talented and unrivaled in her artistry, with skills that had long reached the level of an emperor, suppressing all opposition, she sighed quietly at the sight of the demonic creatures flaunting themselves in the human realm. Xiao Zhen remarked, The saintly sovereign of the past was indeed unbeatable. Indeed, demonic Chu rarely admires anyone, but Sister Hoa is an exception. She had no special physique, only her own talent and relentless cultivation. Rising up, she defeated every major holy ground of the human realm. Even the most talented monsters could not hold their heads up against her, being suppressed by her. The demons of her generation could hardly breathe. It is said that back then, when Tai Su Zi traveled the world, the demon experts instructed their juniors to run away if they encountered Tai Su Zi, and they would not be blamed within the clan. Therefore, it's hard to imagine just how formidable Sister Hoa must have been back then. Meng Yi, upon hearing this, cast a glance at Huo Lu Fei and thought to herself, Yes, the villainous disciple surely does not know that the saintly sovereign he's talking about is right here.